and welcome our viewers of Pak Bangla Connect. मैं हूँ सादिया सत्तार and I'm going to start in Urdu. आपको बताते चलें, we have with us Mr. Pinaki Bhattacharya, very famously known as Pinaki Da, one of the most famous people you see a lot और काफ़ी critical बातें करते हैं as far as the geopolitics is concerned of this particular region. Our episode is going to be in English, but just to give you a warm welcome, I thought we can say a few words in Urdu, and I'd request Pinaki Da to say a few words in Bengali so that our Bangladeshi listeners.
বাংলাদেশি দর্শকদেরকে শুভেচ্ছা এবং স্বাগতম কমন কনসার্নগুলো নিয়ে, পলিটিক্যাল কনসার্নগুলো নিয়ে এই চ্যানেলে আমাদের সাথেই থাকবেন। আমি মাঝে মাঝে এখানে আসব, আলাপ করব আপনাদের সাথে, এবং আমাদের আলাপগুলো আমাদের পাকিস্তানি ভাইদের সাথেও আমরা শেয়ার করব, অবশ্যই ইংরেজিতে। তো শুরু হোক আজকের এপিসোড।
Right. So I understand some Bengali because I understood when he said that shuru and then he said the episode. And so I have to learn Bengali. That was on a lighter note, but I hope that we continue with this series and we can continue telling about the shared history and the geopolitical challenges which we face. He has an extensive understanding of the affairs, particularly regarding if we talk about from Bangladeshi's perspective. So we'd love to know what he says. Talking about straight 1.1 question. We listen to one term a lot, and that term is so popular in netizens, in Gen Z, in every group in this region. And that term is Akhand Bharat, that we keeps on listening from multiple cadres, multiple people. What is Akhand Bharat? What is the ideology? What is the philosophy? What is your first word about Akhand Bharat, Pinaki Da?
It's an important political rhetoric we've been hearing since the BJP came to power. The concept of Akhand Bharat is mythical. The claim is that this region, including Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, once was mythical India, mythical Bharat. They claim vernity over the entire territory, but politically, culturally, and ideologically. That's the basic concept. Probably you have seen the map in their parliament building. It includes the entire region and their political, historical, and mythological heritage.
Right. Yeah.
Problem is, India is not a country or region inhabited by one group of people, one religion, caste, and one culture. Even inside India, you have multiple cultures, multiple languages. They do not accept or acknowledge this diversity. How did India survive through the Mughal Empire?
Right.
India survived through unity in diversity. They knew how to unite the people of a vast country. They want us to submit to their supremacist Hindutva ideology, and we should be inferior invaders, not part of their history.
Right.
The mythical India concept is troubling. And consider the other sovereign countries that surround India: Bangladesh, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal,
Right.
and other countries that surround Maldives, which they claim as a part of this greater India. They try to hegemonize these countries with their ideology. Not muscle power, but soft power. What we have seen in Bangladesh's fascist regime of Sheikh Hasina was actually manifestation of this Akhand Bharat.
Okay.
You seen the narratives in Bangladesh during Hasina's regime, the security narratives of India.
Right.
The same narratives they sell inside India, that same narrative Hasina was selling inside Bangladesh. And that's how they subjugate a nation, to subjugate the people of another country. They have two options: ideologically conquer the land and people's minds, or install someone as the ruler who submits to their will. That's exactly what happened in Bangladesh. Hasina sold out the country's sovereignty in exchange for her power. That's how India exerted ideological authority in Bangladesh.
Yeah. So, as you've said, Pinakida, that Sheikh Hasina, when she was in power, was corrupting the system and the Hindutva ideology in Bangladesh as a supremacist ideology. Is that what we understand?
India had two options: ideologically conquer the nation or
Right.
install a ruler subjugated to their will. India installed Hasina in power, and in exchange, she sold out sovereignty. India attacked Bangladesh with ideological weapons and soft power. Big section of army intelligence was selling the Indian security narrative as the Bangladeshi narrative. It was the
Yeah.
soft power inside Bangladesh working in favor of India. That's a striking difference between Pakistan and India. We understand there are tensions between India and Pakistan, but you'll never have a party in Pakistan who submits to India or subscribes to Indian narratives. The media in Pakistan never subscribes to Indian security concerns. That's a striking difference between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Our fight is bigger and more complex. In Bangladesh, there is a party that takes care of the interests of the Indian state and its state. We have intelligence here for Indian interest. Media subscribes to Indian narratives. It's not this issue in Pakistan. Our fight is more complex. And
Why do you think that that happened in Bangladesh? Because as much as we see, now after Hasina's ouster, we saw there was a clear hatred for what was happening. So why do you think it continued for so many years?
well, it's not that India invaded ideologically in
Mhm.
Bangladesh during the Hasina's regime. No,
Mhm.
the invasion was in action even during the partition. You have seen the free episodes I produced on the alternative narrative of our language movement, our 6 point demand, and our war of independence. India was very active during the partition process so that they could realize their mission. Even during the war of liberation of Bangladesh, it was entirely in action. India's involvement in our liberation war was a manifestation of that mission.
That's a very, very, very important point that is to be understood by most of the people, particularly in Pakistan, that what India did at that point of time was the manifestation of Akhand Bharat. They have no love lost for Bangladesh or for
Yes.
Pakistan. Moreover, since Pakistan's inception or India or Pakistan's independence, India never accepted this reality. And like Pinakida said, they started working on it since day one. So that is something which is not only heartbreaking but interesting also that this is how things were happening. Pinakida, you've spoken extensively about the rise of Hindu fascism in India, which you've just said a while back, Hindutva. How is this ideological shift under the BJP RSS regime impacted Bangladesh directly or indirectly? Yes, Sheikh Hasina was there. What other points would you like to mention? How were people affected? How things happen? Anything you want to tell us?
Well, Sadia, to come back to my previous point before your next question, I'd like to mention a few unpleasant truths between Bangladesh and Pakistan. As a student of political history, my search was that Pakistan was created, the Pakistan movement started from Dhaka itself, and the Muslim League was established in Dhaka. It was Bengali Muslims who fought for Pakistan. What
Right.
happened? What went wrong? Within 24 years, is it only India's intervention and evil plans, or is there something else? So that's an issue we must understand in Bangladesh and Pakistan. I can explain my narrative and understanding about this issue because whenever it comes to India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, the first question is what about 1971? I have a few incidents to tell you, and you also have to find the answer from your side. What was Pakistan? Was it created as a land of Muslims? The first answer is no, because the Hindu Dalits of India also fought for Pakistan. The leader of the Hindu, Jogen Mondal, was included in the first cabinet of Pakistan as an important minister. Jogen Mondal led lower caste Hindus who wanted Pakistan. Should we conceive Pakistan as a land of Muslims or as a land of minorities of India. If we look at history from that perspective, then Jinnah does not come out as a leader of Muslims. He comes out as a leader of minorities of India. The first question to Pakistan is, did Pakistan keep its promise to Pakistani minorities after independence? Are diverse people in Pakistan? Let me cite the example of Jogan Mondal. Jogan Mondal could not stay in Pakistan. Why? There was a sense of betrayal. What was the betrayal? I don't have the answer because I have not studied in detail, but it's a question to everyone, to young people of Pakistan, to young people of Bangladesh. What went wrong between Bengali and Pakistani Muslims? East and West Muslims. In 1965, why did the Bengal join or initiate the movement of independent Pakistan? It was from the fear they would be persecuted in Akhand Bharat.
Right.
And they were very much right. They were correct. What we see in India today is the same thing our ancestor imagined would face in Akhand Bharat. That was the point of creating a different state for the minorities of India. The East Pakistani Bengali Muslims had the same concerns. They had a security concern conquered by India and feared being engulfed into India. That was Bengal's basic security concern.
I will interject you here slightly. One thing that you've mentioned, the uncomfortable truth was that it was created for minorities, but then we see there is a huge population of Muslims, and the minorities were not that big in a number. But I think we need a complete episode to talk about it. Since we were discussing Akhand Bharat and we're talking about Bangladesh right now also. So when you're talking about this complete issue, that the minorities were, having a problem here, and the Bangladeshis and Pakistanis had a problem. I saw one of your podcasts, and I think I might have translated that because I wanted to tell that to people in Pakistan in Urdu, where you have mentioned that was a complete orchestrated program, which you've said even in the beginning of the podcast, that the idea started since very beginning. I remember that I don't exactly remember if it was in Asusan or your podcast, where you actually showed a poster where it was written how the idea of further
Exploitation and what?
exploitation is my question to you here is why I interjected you here is that the distance of more than 1,000 miles, and then having this kind of embryonic stage of a newly built country with a lot of troubled families who've migrated from multiple locations who did not have enough, and there were a lot of confusions going on, and as you must be aware of the fact that how discrimination was done, how Hyderabad was forcefully taken, etc., a lot was done. So, how much do you think it is the fault of Bangladesh and Pakistan and not the fault of India that was in a bigger hegemonic position, tried to create, orchestrate, and definitely pull the people who probably could be in his favor like Hasina was, as you've mentioned. So,
Well,
how much?
Sadia, it's a very good question. My attempt is not to point my finger to Pakistan as the villain. My point is that we have to understand the mistakes we have committed.
Yes, that's
I am
exactly
not
what I
denying,
thought.
I'm not denying India had the biggest role in inflicting tensions between these two parts of Pakistan. But the question remains why India was successful, separated by 1,000 kilometers. There must be a fault line between East and West Pakistan. That has to be identified and addressed so we don't fall into the same trap again.
Just recently, where there is a new thing going on in Indian media, the conversation is becoming so interesting that I'm sorry to interject, but there is an interesting thing that they've started talking about just recently, and they started that let's give two more sister states and let's split Bangladesh further. That's what they've started saying. You might have seen on X and multiple platforms. So they are on the same line. You are right. We need to talk about it to prevent it further.
Yes, So to come back, it has relevance to Akhand Bharat, that discussion I was having before your question.
Right.
In 65, there was conflict, war between India and Pakistan.
Mhm.
During the war, West Pakistan defended its soil, leaving East Pakistan unprotected. We had one regiment, East Bengal Regiment, constructed with Bengali people, deployed to defend. They fought valiantly, and Rahman was one of them. He was awarded the top medal of every medal of in military.
Right. And if you die, that is Nishane. If you're a martyr, it's Nishane.
And no, and he was alive, so the second biggest.
The second biggest award, I have to search exactly which it
Okay,
is, but
Rahman was awarded the second biggest military award for defending La, but Pakistan was unprotected. There was a fear that had there an attack on our soil, we remain unprotected.
that's Hilal. Not a good.
Hilal is it,
Right.
yes. So we remain unprotected if India attacked us.
This is an uncomfortable truth that you're saying. So I have a straight question. That was the feeling at that point of time in Bangladeshis that they felt betrayed. Right.
Just after 1 year, they raised the 6 point demand, 1 point being the right to raise their own military. It aligns with the fear created during the 1965 war between India and Pakistan. They felt let out, seen as less Pakistani, less Muslim. We don't believe they didn't belong to Pakistan. This fault line nurtured and intensified by Indian narratives. The fourth line between East and West Pakistan was initiated in 1965, and India exploited that situation to their benefit.
So you think that at that point happened and things, and I, of course, as a Pakistani, have an opinion that, which I mentioned earlier, that being in an embryonic stage, it's not a justification, like Pinaki Das said, and I'm saying the uncomfortable truth. If he's saying it's the uncomfortable truth, hurt him equally. So that's not something that we are going to talk about as if it's that we are going to go and touch the wounds. It's just trying to understand why exactly India was able to take advantage of that 1,000 miles difference, why it happened that it was able to manage to give this idea to the youth back then that, oh, they're enemies. If they were not, we are not enemies. We love each other a lot. But things happen. And since we talked about that, this went wrong between the people and things didn't happen the way. Do you see something went wrong on the other side too? They did not realize that no matter how, glittery, idea coming from India of an independence or whatever they were trying to do at that point, nobody thought that it's India which is trying to probably colonize in a way Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is more close to India, landlocked from three sides. It was obvious and visible that it will be having more influence. They fought with them. They knew there were differences. So how come that there was no sane voice? If there is no sane voice here, why this was not thought about?
That is battling. When I look at the histories of 71, I have episodes on the incidents from the 70s election up to March 25, 1971. Dialogues, proposals, negotiations, and counter proposals. Frankly, I didn't find any fault from West Pakistan side. Their negotiation attempts were logical, valid, and just. I don't have any clue why there was no sane voice inside Bangladesh to say things are going wrong. You are landing in trouble. That trouble has been created by some other people to get benefit. There was nobody to say, this is wrong. You are landing in big trouble.
This is an absolute excellent crux of the story from Pinakida, because he's tried to be extremely unbiased here, saying, okay, let's talk about what happened. And now saying that why it happened that no sane voice came from there, because it was visible. We are bleeding next to a shark. Can't spill that things did not make a group comfortable, and this advantage of, and a young Bangladeshi student who came to art space actually accepted that, said that, they made two big groups fight, the Punjabis and the Bangladeshi. The whole thing started, but I think we need to speak to Pinaki at length about this. India is trying the same game in Balochistan. They think that Sheikh Hasina is ousted, started threatening from their social media. I wouldn't call them trolls because that a very well organized team coming with their government, and these people are constantly threatening Bangladesh that okay fine, let's give two more sisters. We have seven sisters. Let's have two more sisters. Let's split Bangladesh and maybe do water hegemony. So many things we need to speak to Pinakina about later on. But coming back to the Akhand Bharat thing, now we have spoken about that the uncomfortable truth and all. At this point of time, when they're giving these threats to Bangladesh and trying to support a terrorist outfit in Pakistan, that is BLA, and
They also supported terrorist outfit in Bangladesh.
right. So, would you want to elaborate about it?
They will try in multiple ways. They have raw operatives, and the Indian deep state is active within Bangladesh. They have an army to support their actions inside Bangladesh. But whatever their plan is, the Bangladesh you see after August 20 is a new Bangladesh.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to check, but it's a very important question, and I don't want to leave it here. The new Bangladesh. We just
Yes.
recently we've spoken to an American South Asian affairs experts, and I might have shared a snippet with you. That was Michael Kugelmetz. According to him, just adding it up so you can add it in your answer, please. Please add it in your answer. So he said that yes, it happened, but I don't think we have to wait for the elections. Things may turn, you don't know. Can you add this comment?
I don't want to comment on this specific person you mentioned.
Okay. No,
He
the
is
comment part, but on the comment.
he is one of the Western think tank members who supports the Sina regime. They convince powerful and intelligent people in the West to speak in their favor. I don't give much weight to his comment because it's subscribed and validated by Awami League. Doesn't have a place in future Bangladesh. No, for sure. Full stop. And the Mujib legacy, they don't have any space in Bangladesh. Why?
Okay. Wow.
It might sound that the family of Mujib and Awami League owns the legacy of the liberation war, and so whether we have something to play with liberation war, and so whether we reject the concept or spirit of liberation war. No. Do you know the history of Bengal, the Sirajuddola, Mir Jafar, and this kind of thing? Let me relate this situation with that past of heritage. He is regarded as a betrayer, and he sold out Bengal to the English by not fighting in favor of Shiraj. And he has been regarded as the betrayer. In Bengali, we have a terminology called Mir Jafar, equivalent to betrayer.
In Pakistan. Mir Jafar.
Okay. But who was Mir Jafar? Do you know Jafar, the general of Aliburdi Khan, who fought against Burgi aggression? Do you know the book Burgi aggression? Marathis used to come to Bengal and rampage. It was a complete massacre chaos. They massacred people and looted everything every year. It was a rule.
Right.
And in Bengali, we have a lullaby. It says, Khoka ghumalo, para juralo, Burgi elo deshe, bulbulite dhan খেয়েছে, খাজনা দেব কিসে? I hope you understand.
No, I do not. Please tell me.
The kid is going to sleep. The neighborhood is calm. And Burgis has arrived. The birds have eaten all our seeds. And how should I pay my taxes? It's a painful lullaby still in our culture. The Burgis aggression was so horrific. We put it into the lullaby to keep it alive in our collective memory. Mir Jafar Valley who hosted from Bengal by the might of Mir Jafar.
Okay.
Mija, he was regarded as a valiant fighter who protected Bengal.
Okay.
Mujib is a Mir Jafar, the first dictator of Bangladesh. With the constitution, he promised freedom but offered slavery. Hasina continued that Limoji is not regarded for his fight against Burgese, but as a traitor during the Polashi War for submitting and not fighting for Shiraj. Sheikh Mujib has the same legacy. Mir Jafar doesn't have any place. in Bengal, Pakistan, which was surprising to me.
There's no place
And Mujib and Awami League do not have place in future Bangladesh because traitor.
Right. We have this from most word people in Bangladesh, if we talk about Pinakida. And whenever I upload something, I'm sure my Bangladeshi subscribers will be happy because you keep mentioning, please invite him. So today we invited him, and he is coming and saying very crude truths and very important truths because they're important. Many people in India need to understand the Bangladeshi sentiment that there is a full stop to the legacy of Sheikh Mujib and Sheikh Hasina. The Bangladeshi people are not taking them as heroes, as leaders who betrayed their nation and they became puppets of India. And that is one of the reasons that Bangladesh did suffer for a long time. Then, since Sheikh Hasina came back, I think that was 2009 till 2024, was a very painful time for the Bangladeshi people. The youth came on roads, how the activists, this was the realization. Nobody foresaw it back then. The youth saw it. And the youth of Bangladesh, and the activists spoke on the truth despite threats coming to them and understood their sovereignty, liberty being threatened, that puppet government in every sector, every group, even in the syllabus of Bangladesh, there is a lot being mentioned as they wanted. One question is to my viewers that had it been the case that India was so sincere and it was not Akhand Bharat, they should have been happy. It's Bangladeshis. If they want to oust Sheikh Hasina, their choice. If they want to keep her, their choice. If they ousted her, why there was a panic in the corridors and sectors in India and non-stop blame game on Bangladeshis? Their handles were banned, their channels were banned, and they were banned in the crime for the crime that they started actually asking for independence, and that is coming from the puppet regime of India of Sheikh Hasina. So we have a lot to talk to him because he, with his extensive work, there's a lot we can talk about. But of course, we have to see the time. So we are going to go for a sequel soon too. But before we go to a sequel, because we still have about 5 to 10 minutes, what is your final comment? Now you see the threats are coming. You see that Bangladesh did take an extremely courageous step. I think hats off to them. Nobody in the world probably was expecting that it is going to be this level of protests. And I know the kids who were, on X and they were talking about it that we have to do it. How do you see what is Bangladesh's future now when you know that still India is trying to give as much harm as they can? And we saw that Sheikh Hasina managed to do a speech from India. We know that they're still trying to make ways. So, what is your comment on that? How do you see? Yes, the legacy is gone, but how do you see Bangladeshi people? Are they prepared to fight these threats, especially when they threaten sometimes for water hegemony, sometimes for the military intervention? Sometimes the BSF guys are killing people, murdering, martyring people from Bangladesh. Just recent past, this guy who crossed border unintentionally, not even crossed the border, but he was murdered. What do you say? What is the plan? How do you see?
The situation, Sadia, is very complex. We fought valiantly. Our children fought valiantly. From the beginning of the new government, I have been saying there should be a revolutionary government to uphold the spirit of revolution. We must acknowledge this is a revolution, not just an uprising or movement. Revolution has a specific political character and must be managed. For example, we can't care for it. It's like a cat if it's a tiger. We must treat it differently. A cat and a tiger look similar when small. We had tigers. We tried to tackle it like a cat. During the last year, we've created many fault lines. And the powers that ousted Hasina are not united anymore. There are fractures between the parties, voices, and people. It's a difficult moment. But when it comes to Awami League and Sheikh Hasina, we all get united. There are two threats, one immediate and another long term. Immediate threat we tackle on the streets, and our strength is intact. We don't fear immediate threats, but the long term threat. It's my fear that Bangladesh has become a playground of big powers. How we manage and navigate the interests of China, America, and is crucial. It's a complex path to navigate. We have to get through with courage and wisdom. The partnership between Pakistan and Bangladesh should add to our fight against India. We should come closer ideologically because we share the same history. And we're one country once we have common enemies. So there's no point in remaining apart and splitting our strength. And that's the way forward.
Coming forward, I actually elaborated very well that yes, that's a complex situation. Again, without mincing words, straightforwardly, that things happen now. It's the scene that there are people who are having trouble with it. But for India, for the Indian aggression, hegemony, or against it, they're united, which is a very, very good thing. And of course, there is no coming back. As far as Pakistan and Bangladeshi's friendship is concerned, I always say it's two flags and one heart, because that's how we take Bangladeshis. And of course, when we talked about the uncomfortable truths, we have to learn a lot. I just wish and hope the best for Bangladesh and for Pakistan and for this lovely friendship that we are able to navigate those big powers that we're talking about. And it's going to be a great diplomacy that both the countries have to, do in their own domains. A lot of love and there is a lot of support, always had been. And now it's more. I also wish that we don't repeat. Like when I asked Pinaki that what happened, that did they not know that they were bleeding next to a shark, and they were trying to, find some help from the people who are going to probably harm them later. They're trying the same thing in Bangladesh. They're trying the same thing in Pakistan. And I hope that now this generation it does not fall prey for this trap, because this is ultimately a trap. They're no friends. They're not having any love lost, because if a tiny thing happens there, they're going to blame Bangladesh, Pakistan, left, right, center, everywhere, but they're not going to think that why it happened. We have tried to think why it happened, and we want to rectify. I'm going to request Vinakida to come for a series of episodes, and that's basically his idea. He suggested in the beginning, and it took us some time to start it, but I hope that we're going to continue. We are going to talk about multiple issues, of course, related to Bangladesh, Pakistan, and South Asia, but we'll definitely broaden our conversation related to the big powers too, and how they impact or their collision, whatever the cold collision or the warm, hot collision impacts these countries, because that absolutely happens strategically. Bangladesh is very important, so is Pakistan. And of course, we know how things are happening here for a long, long time. And wishing you all the best, Pinaki. It was a pleasure having you on Park Bangla Connect. Thank you, everybody. And I learned one sentence in Bengali, so I'd say, Amare Bangladeshi bhai o bonera. I'm going to learn more Bengali because it's inevitably important. It was a pleasure again. I hope to speak to you guys soon. And this episode is the first episode. We'll be coming with more episodes. And for the viewers who keep on asking me when is Ilyas Hussain joining, so we tried to make a tripod that we're going to be three of us together and talk about what challenges are. Thank you so much once again. And Pak Bangladesh Zindabad. Thank you, Pinaki. Pak Bangla Dosti Zindabad. Take excellent care of yourself, everybody. And do not forget to subscribe me, because I'm a new person. Pinaki has a huge fan following. But if you're not subscribing him from Pakistan, it's your loss. Do subscribe to him, because you'll get to know a lot from his channels. And definitely, he's sharing a lot of uncensored truths. Thank you so much. Take care. And Allah Hafiz, and bye for now.
Khuda Hafiz.